All right, happy Saturday, everybody. I'm Nick Slavic. I am the host of Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use almost 3 decades of experience as a business owner and a craftsperson to answer any questions. And again, if I don't have the answers to stuff, the people and the community around this show do. Today, very special show. We have two guests, Nick and Brihu, joining me. We'll get to them in just a second. First, we're going to do a little tech check before we get going to make sure audio and video is going, because I do not want to have a stream get shot out into the ether with nobody seeing it. So, all right, let me just do a quick sound check before we get going. All right, there we go. We are good. So before we get to Nick and Brihu, two really interesting guys that I've got to know over the last couple months here, and we're going to talk about what they're up to. I want to talk about the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. Nick and Brihu have actually been introduced to them as well. The PCA is a group of people that has a similar set of core values and mission as Ask a Painter, which is we want to do better for ourselves, our families, our community, and the trades as a whole. We want to build better contractors. That is the mission of the PCA. The most unique thing about the PCA is the same thing that this show does, which is it's a dog whistle to like-minded people who have progressive minds, are solving problems actively this day, and it comes together and we interact, and there's a free flow of information. That's a very unique thing. There's lots of other industries where people see each other as the enemy and do not readily share this information. The PCA is not that. We readily get together, we share best practices, and it's a very uplifting, inclusive, amazingly progressive organization. So I would say if you're interested in that and you're interested in more of the things you hear today, go to the PCA. There's a link in this show here. So I am going to bring up Nick and Brihu. Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Morning, Nick. Thanks so much for having us. We're doing well.
Absolutely. So we are going to go deep into who you guys are and what you're doing. But first, we should tell people why you're here. And you guys, anybody can take this, but tell us what you're here for and what we're going to be talking about today.
Of course. So Brihu and myself are working on a business called ProPhone, and we're really helping pros move online, have a little bit more online presence, but more importantly is entrepreneurs of their own businesses, starting to really have the tools that make them better as pros, spend a little bit less time managing communications and more time on the job with their customers. So today we're going to be talking through why we're working on this, what we're working on, giving you all a little bit of a demo, and sharing more about what makes us excited about the future.
Oh, that's awesome. So right now, if people, I've included your links in the show title here, but if people want to follow along, go look at your stuff, where can they find this right now?
Perfect. So they can go to ProPhone, that's ProPhone.com/ProSite, ProSite.
Okay, and we're actually gonna, like you said, share a screen, go through some stuff. You actually made a website for me, which is awesome, that we're gonna look at. But first, to give some context and some flavor to this, we need to know more about you guys. So you guys can take it anywhere you like, but I wanna know, growing up, what part of wherever did you grow up, school, and how you guys culminated in this?
Awesome. Brihu, you wanna kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, Nick, thanks so much for having us. It's really a pleasure to be here. But yeah, my name's Brihu. I'm currently a student studying computer science at Yale. Actually deferred a year to come and work with Nick and the team, but I was born and raised in the Midwest in Illinois, then moved out to Texas, and pretty much went through my whole upbringing there as well. So definitely really been able to work, be a part of a lot of different communities and talk with a lot of different people. But yeah, like I said, I have a little bit of a background in computer science, and was really excited this year to take it off and actually join the team here. And over the past couple of months, it's been a really phenomenal time being able to talk with so many professionals. Been having a really inspiring past couple 4 to 5 months here, getting to know people's stories, and it's really been a motivating factor for me. And looking back, I can't really say there was anything else I'd really have wished to do. But it's been really phenomenal. Having a phenomenal time, and I'll just kick it off to Nick here.
Yeah, and I should say, is tech what you're studying in college, Brihu?
Yep. I do a lot of web development, computer science, a little bit of engineering there as well. But yep, that's all. I'm all in there, and it's been a great learning experience. But really excited to build what we have so far and really be able to help a lot of people with it. It's been a really good journey so far.
That's awesome. And Nick, how say you?
Yeah, so as to my background, I grew up in Connecticut. I then did some work in the construction industry for a company called Gilbane. I learned the hard way as a newbie not to wear brand new construction boots to a job site. I got made fun of pretty quickly, but that was a good lesson learned. And then I went on to do some work for a mixture of companies ranging from paint manufacturers that sell through Home Depot to aerial lift operators that make the big boom and scissor lifts. Enjoyed that work, and then went to business school so I could start my own company. And I actually decided to drop out of business school after my first year to work on what we're talking about here today. So if my parents are listening, thanks for being supportive of going through this. But really what gets me excited about what we're doing is, beyond just the classroom, getting to see it come into life. So bringing some of that background, I wasn't a painter myself, but I have a lot of experience through the industry and some of that prior work experience.
No, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but possibly a couple months ago, I think we all got connected because you were looking for a little bit of either input, perspective, context into the contracting world, and somehow we found each other and we started discussing. Yes?
Yeah, exactly. So we were coming at this. We didn't want to just build tech from a tech person's mindset. We wanted to actually talk to folks that are in the trades, get their real life feedback and experience. So reached out, and thanks so much for taking that initial introduction and taking the initial call, giving us some advice along the way.
No, you guys have been insanely thoughtful from the start. And as you can imagine, contractors are bombarded with sort of like just, mediocre operators. We got this thing, it's going to change your life. They don't really care. And they come in, they come out, and it's like, I don't know, unless there's something like a contractor can feel and touch, and there's something tangible that they can get from it. It's hard to get their attention because we are contracting. We're out there like scraping a barn, So what impressed me from you guys from the start, though, is all of our conversations, I could just tell you genuinely wanted to help contractors and other humans. And that's not always the case. So that came across loud and clear. And also, you guys actually have a unique value proposition, which is, again, like if you're talking about a website or a contractor having a website, I mean, you guys know there's many places somebody can go to do that. And so one of the first things I asked is, like, if you're going to get traction with the contractors, you got to have something unique. And you guys basically outlined for that. So why don't you tell us why this is different, why this is actually helpful?
Of course. And to your point about getting bombarded, just quickly on that one, in the past, we were working on a home service business, and we get endless calls from extended truck warranties and local SEO companies calling saying, hey, we can make you front page on Google. And so we kind of learned that there's a lot of folks getting bombarded with that, and we didn't want to build another SEO service, another SEO company. So I kind of joke around, if I had that many trucks, I wouldn't need to be working, because I don't know how many extended warranties I can have. But yeah, so what we're building here at ProPhone is, on the website component, we're building a tool that allows contractors to build a site in 15 minutes or less, or simply to give us their Facebook link to their profile. We'll make the site for them. They can then give us edits and feedback. And the best part about what we're doing is we'll make the site as a sample for free for folks. If you like it, you can move forward with us. If you don't like it, no problem at all. What we find is there's a lot of designers and agencies out there that charge $1,000 just to make a site. We don't want to be another one of those. So that's what we're doing with the site component, and we'll give you all a demo. And then with the actual phone piece of this, we are making a mobile application. And the idea behind that is to give contractors a second business line on their personal phone, so that they don't have to put their personal number on every site online, get bombarded by those spam calls, and actually have a second place to run their business from.
So I tell you what, why don't we touch, so the focus of what we're going to do today is not necessarily ProPhone. You mentioned that is in testing. It's almost there shortly, but that is a very unique thing. When you guys mentioned this idea of an app where all your communications funnel through, and it's sort of not your main phone number, because the idea would be, my business uses a series of apps because we don't have one, to do business communication because we want it disconnected from somebody's personal cell phone. I mean, there's 27 people right now involved in my organization. Imagine the group text, right? You put everybody on a group text, and every time somebody says they need another gallon of paint, in last year, to give people context, we sent 40,000 messages via our messaging thing. So imagine 40,000 dings in a year, you know, and to have something separated from that is very interesting. We also talked about having, like, I actually got rid of my business phone number only because I wanted to create that funnel. You can only get to me through one way, because Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these other things, everybody can find you everywhere. But if it's all through the website, it's the same idea is there. So you can go into depth in ProPhone if you like. Otherwise, I just thought we should mention it because it is a thing that I'm actually trying to like dum create with a whole bunch of other stuff. So it would be great to have that like streamlined a little bit. So
awesome. Yeah, I think, you know, maybe just to cover the few features that it's going to start with, and then we can jump into ProSite. Just on ProPhone, the first three things that we're starting with is, number one, you can have that separate business line on your personal phone. Number two is it starts to bring all the different communications into one place. So right now that's text, voicemails, and phone calls all in one spot, but we are going to be adding in things like Facebook Messenger, email, so you don't have to check all your different apps and all have it in one place. And then lastly, we talked about spam being an issue. We're going to make spam blocking as easy as possible. Have a pop-up at the end of a new call that comes in that you can block the number, or even a global block list that's shared across contractors. So we're excited about what's to come there. If folks are interested, you can sign up for our wait list. We are going through testing with pros at the moment. So if you're interested, you can definitely reach out. But would love to talk about ProSite and give a demo if that sounds right.
No, that's awesome. And I will tell the people, most of the demo of like Ask a Painter and stuff is normally the business owner. And we're always sort of like on a dual track of coding science and pushing the craft farther, but also like trying to make our business life easier so that we can take care of our clients and push the craft. And I know there's a lot of thirsty, hungry minds for this sort of thing. And I will tell you guys this, if you guys contact these guys or go to ProPhone, and do this, there are guys who genuinely want to make your life easier, and they are willing and open to sort of help. So I would make the contact, people, and do that. So yeah, why don't we talk about ProSite as well?
Awesome. Brihu, you want to give a quick overview about the general steps of how ProSite works, and then I'll jump into showing a little bit of a demo here, Nick, if that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a big part of what we were looking at when we were trying to build this is trying to make it as easy as possible to actually get up and running on the web. We're able to talk with a ton of pros and a lot of professionals in the industry. And I think one of the biggest things we heard was dealing with agencies and just dealing with a lot of these people are often a pain. And we're just trying to, we thought about is what does everyone have? And that usually ended up being a Facebook page. And so we're just trying to think of the best possible way to really help streamline that process. And it's really cool. I think we came up with this tool that works a lot like a Facebook page where you just type all your information into a form and out pops this beautiful website. And you don't have to worry about it. You can always go back and update it, but you don't have to have all these external things that you're dealing with. It's really meant to make sure that you can have this really phenomenal web presence, but really get back to doing things that you love, getting back out there and painting. And really kind of just remove this from your head, but know that it's always going to be there. And it's always going to look very professional and always really easy to update. But I think the demo would be a really cool way to maybe walk through. But I think just general steps are hopping on that form and going through, just understanding all the information, making sure to add services and really good pictures. But other than that, it works very similar to kind of just building out a Facebook page. But yeah, I think the demo would be a really good segue into showing that.
You got it. So I'll bring this up here, and we'll probably try to configure these screens a little bit so we can. I think that'll do pretty well. Now, the takeaway that I want viewers to have is, again, we are bombarded by stuff like this, and mostly it's like what you guys say. There's an ad agency, a marketing agency, a web creator that will somehow get in contact with you, and for X thousands of dollars, they're going to create this website, and there's going to be promises, and there's going to be art, and there's going to be this and that. And a contractor doesn't have much time for this. I will say that following some of the business, contractor business Facebook groups that we have, largely underwhelming and sometimes like very disappointing experiences. So the reason you guys are here is you've shown me this stuff. You actually created something for me. It is as easy as fill a couple things out, or we'll do it for you, and it's just done. That is the unique value proposition, which is it's the closest thing to instant as I can tell.
Exactly. And again, we'll do the first sample for free so folks can see it in real life, and then we'll the pricing for it is only $20 a month for just the base website. So we're really not trying to charge those thousands of dollars. We're trying to make it as simple as easy.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, you guys can take it from here. We got the screen share going.
Awesome. So what you'll see on the screen is a sample website that we made based on your profile, Nick, online. So I hope you don't mind that we went in and stole some photos from you. But what you'll see here is just at the top, an Ask a Painter. This would be the business name, normally a cover photo of some of your best work or a photo of yourself. And then one of the cool things is we're trying to avoid all those phone calls coming in, especially from spammers. So we actually have built in a button here that customers can send you a message from their computer or from their cell phone. So they don't have to call you. They can add their name, their phone number, what they're looking for, and send that directly from you, directly to you. And that will come through as a text message on your end. We're also looking at adding in online booking. We don't quite have that yet, but that is something on the roadmap. And then next on the website is a little About Us section. Again, all the wording here could be customized. And then you can link your Facebook profile. You can link a Google My Business. If you have other, Better Business Bureau, a Yelp page, etc., you can put that all there. And then we move into our services. Normally, this would be things like exterior painting, kitchen cabinet refinishing, other services that you offer. For Ask a Painter, we just put expert advice, industry insights, and all your questions answered. And then you move into showcasing your best work. So this is, example projects that you've done, some before and afters that can be there. And then lastly, we have a section for testimonials and reviews, as well as some frequently asked questions. When does the show air? How do I contact you? And where are you located? So this is, to us, the basic information that's important to a homeowner when they're looking at a pro's website. Allows you to convey how the homeowner can contact you, why they should believe in your business or work with your business, what services you offer, and pictures speak more than words. So we have both pictures of your work as well as testimonials. So I'll pause there before jumping into actually how the form works, but that's a sample of what the output looks like.
So just a question from somebody who doesn't know anything about websites or anything. It feels to me like a number of years ago, it used to be a page with a whole bunch of tabs that you would kind of go through. And that's still a thing, but now it feels like almost all websites are sort of that it's on one screen that you just scroll up and down. Has that been a change? Is that a wrong perspective that I've been witnessing?
So it definitely has been a change. And the reason why is that a lot of consumers are spending less and less time navigating through a site. And so they're actually spending a little bit of time just quickly scrolling through the page. A lot of sites, and this is what we've done in the past, you can actually set up some analytics to track where consumers are looking at the page. And we'll find that about 50% of people will stop looking at a page once you get through something like our services section. They won't scroll through all the way to the bottom. So that's why it's really important to have it all in one spot, because consumers won't take the time to look through too many tabs. Some will. And then what we have here is at the top, if someone is interested in the different sections, they can actually click on, hey, I want to look at testimonials, and it will jump right down to that section. So it's like having a multi-page website, but you have it all in one spot so you can scroll through.
It's websites. It's interesting because I get all those analytics back from my website and even from the social media stuff. And it's alarming. We put so much thought into this stuff. It's alarming how little time people spend on it. If you can get somebody, it feels like, to be on your website for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, that's just like an overwhelming success. Like they've read everything. They're going deep. They're so in it. And you think, oh my God, people, I'm so thoughtful. I put all this time into it. People are going to sit here for 45 minutes. Read it. It's like, God, it's amazing when you see, like, especially where you can see where the touches are, where they go, where's the first, where's the second. Yep. It's like, man, it feels like you got about 19 seconds to make an impression on somebody.
Exactly. And I think social media has shaped the way that people look at things. They're used to a lot of picture-based information these days. And so that's why the site that we've laid out has a lot of pictures on it. You know, the cover photos, the About Us photo, showcasing your work right up front and center, because folks tend to spend a little bit of time looking at photos, less time reading the words. But I think that's spot on, as consumers are looking for something quick. But at the same time, they do value seeing a Facebook page. They do value seeing a website. It shows that, hey, this is a real business, not just someone doing this on the side.
Yeah, and we're so like we're so used to now, like when there's a site that actually has accurate information, the images sort of reflect real world. It does almost build trust, because we all know there's a bunch of websites out there that are just full of stock images. I mean, there's contractors in my areas here where the images, they don't have a phone bank, and there's a really nice looking lady with a headset on and stuff, and you're like, it's not real. So actually having something that correlates to real life is a great thing, and it does actually build trust. Just having a website isn't good enough anymore. It should actually be genuine, it feels like.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's actually where we recommend to a lot of folks in the About Us section normally to put a picture of their family or picture of their team if they have a team. That tends to build a lot more trust than just a photo from a stock image website online of a paint roller on a wall, for example. So that's where we try to focus more on showcase your team, showcase the people, because that's what builds trust as well as the work.
So it was really interesting, sort of like when I was going through business school, social media was kind of new, and they were actually teaching in textbooks, do not mix personal and professional. Like that is the ultimate sin. You're going to people will think of you as a non-professional, this and that. Never felt right for me. So I know when you guys were looking through that stuff, I mean, I would even hazard to guess that 60% of my online presence with social media has more to do with things outside of my professional career. And it's certainly not asking people to call me for a quote. And that was horrible advice back there. And I think if you want to build trust, you got to have that commingling of this is a human. This is somebody who's involved in the community. Here's a family. Here's the team. Here's this. That builds a lot of trust with people. So yeah, I think your guys' instinct with this that's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Sorry that you got that advice in the past, and we other folks could have a different view on this one, and everyone crafts the business and site the way that they want it. So you can put those other photos if you do, but we generally find that at the end of the day, a customer is another person, just like you. If you're looking at evaluating buying something or going through hiring someone, and so learning a little bit about who they are as a person builds that trust.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and then we'll move on to the demo here. But let's say a main floor cabinet wall trim repaint is going to be $22,000, and there's going to be a team of 2 to 3 people in your house for 3 weeks. That's important, especially in a day where all the kids are virtual learning, both parents are home officing. You are going to have strange humans in your life for 3 weeks, in your kitchen, in your rooms, in your life. And yeah, it doesn't not help, right?
Exactly.
All right. So this gets to the very interesting part of all this stuff, because traditionally my experience with web stuff is many calls, many virtual meetings, many back and forth, many proofs, many things where it's like, you didn't really get this. This part is which I'm really interested in, which how you guys actually do this. So you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, let's do it. So where you would start if you were coming to our site is you go to prophone.com/ProSite. You would hit this Get Started button. Once you hit Get Started, it's going to ask for some basic information. Again, you can put in your Facebook profile, or you can select. You can select if you want us to build it, or if you want to build it yourself. And so this is what that will look like. So it will say, do you want to build this yourself, or do you want us to do it? If you want us to do it, it's going to bring you to that screen where you put in your Facebook link. If you do it yourself, it's going to bring you to a form here. And so this is what that form looks like. It has questions on the left-hand side, an example website on the right-hand side. This is not what your website will be. Caro is actually the name of my dog, so that's why it's Caro Painting as the example here. So to start, I guess we can actually go through and make a site live and just get some of the information you'd want on it. So what do you want the company name to be for this site?
Let's call it France Painting.
France. Awesome. And then do you have a company tagline? I can recommend one if you don't.
Let's go 1 gallon at a time.
Like it. Awesome. And then you would put in your phone number. We don't need to do that here. I don't want to give out your personal number on the air here. So you put in your phone number. That would allow that send us a text button to work. And then you can choose from colors. So this gray is the color you're seeing here. You could do purple. You could do green. What color piques your interest today?
I think we got to go orange.
Ooh, all right. All right. So we can go closest to orange and go red. Sounds good.
Done.
All right. And then this is where you'd come in and add some photos. I know, we don't have all your images, Nick. We already made the image for Nick Slavic and Ask a Painter. So I'll just take some sample images here. This would be where you want to use actual images from the job, actual images from your business. But I'll just upload some examples. So this is where you come in. You can add your own photos here. And so I'll put in an example. It will show you that image. If you don't have images for the cover photo, you can actually come in and search. So if you wanted to use stock images, you can. So if I come in and I clear this, I can come in and actually search for house, choose from some of these photos if I don't have one. We generally think that's okay for the cover photo, but then when you're showcasing your own work, you want that to be your own photos rather than a stock image. So We'll come in here. We'll use again that image I showed you a second ago. So I'll use this image. And then you'd come in, add a logo if you have a logo. I've got an example logo here for Caro's painting that we'll plug in for now. But if you had a France painting logo, you could do that. And if you don't have a logo, you can ask us to make a simple one for you, and we're happy to do that. So come in, we'll put Caro Painting. Nothing fancy there. And then this is where you get to describe your business. So the first question is, do any of these apply to your business? Insured, bonded? Do you do emergency services, emergency repairs? Are you veteran owned? Are you family owned? Or are you local business? So Nick, I know you are a veteran. Do you want us to check veteran owned here?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then I know family is important. You want to do family owned as well?
Absolutely.
Perfect. And then insured and bonded?
Yep.
All right. Perfect. And then this is where you get to just describe a little bit about your business. So example that you could say here is, Caro Painting has been most trusted service in this town for X number of years. A little bit about who you are. So we'll put France Painting is the most trusted service in what town do you want to be? I know the name says France.
I say, New France, Minnesota.
All right. Perfect. So I won't go through adding the full blurb, but that is where you would put in some more of that information about who you are, what's important to you as a business. Typically recommend describing where you work, how long you've been in business, and what separates you from some other folks out there. And then you come in and add a photo. This is, I grabbed a photo from your Facebook, if that's all right, Nick. So put in here, family shot that I saw online. And then you'd come in and you'd put your Facebook URL. If you have a Facebook, you can upload Instagram. If you have a Thumbtack profile, a Twitter, a Google My Business listing, a YouTube, a Yelp page, any of those profiles there. And then this is where you add what our services are. So I've pre-populated some here just so we don't have to type them out all together, but exterior painting, interior painting, staining, some other services. And then you can add or remove. Recommend that folks normally have around 6 listed. You can have 1, 2, 3, more than 6, but 6 is a good number to get started. And then this is where you can come in and actually showcase your own work. So I've got some sample images saved, but this is where you would want to put your own shots in here. So it's as easy as coming to your computer, putting those in. I would not recommend doing stock images like we're doing for the sample here. But would actually recommend using your own shots from your business. Perfect. Well, I'm putting some of these photos in. Any questions about the form so far?
No, and this is the thing that was most interesting to me because it's basically all laid out. It's a plug and play sort of thing, and it feels very supported and guided, which is good.
Awesome, awesome. So we're just gonna finish adding a couple more photos here, and then we should be good to go in a moment. And again, if folks, if filling out the form is even too complicated, you can just send us your Facebook link, and we will do all this for you based on photos on your Facebook. You can text us those images that are important to you. And then this is where you can add customer testimonials. Typically recommend if you have a Facebook page, you could just pull those from your Facebook. So we've got some samples in here just to start, just to get things going. And then frequently asked questions. Normally recommend saying, what's the best way to get a quote, or what business hours do you have, things like that. And then lastly, we got your location. So I'll put in New France, and then we're going Minnesota. Is that right?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. And then this is the fun part. So you hit this button at the bottom that says make it. This will process the information and give you a little funny cartoon that's going on here with the rocket. And it takes about a minute or two just to process and grab all that information from you. Once it's done doing that, then we'll actually have the site ready to go. So it says your information was received. We're sending over the photos at the moment, and that can take a minute just depending on how big a file those photos are. Yeah. So it can give you a status update. Photo 1 has been sent, etc. So while this loads, would love to answer any questions, Nick.
Yeah. So one thing I'll ask probably as the last thing today is I want the biggest entrepreneurial lesson learned, piece of advice, something later on. Probably the last thing before we end the show from your guys' experience. But what does all this cost? What is the process? So they go to ProSite, they get some information. What is the cost?
Yeah. So the cost is, again, $0 to start, to make the sample, go through it. If you do want to have a site with your own custom URL, for example, francepainting.com, if that URL is available, it's $20 a month for ongoing hosting of the domain, ongoing edits to the site. And then if you do want to, again, add photos, testimonials as we go over time, we'll give you a form that you can do it yourself, or you can message us and we'll do it for you. So it's all in $20 a month. That covers the initial design as well. There's no other fees. There's no contract. So if after a few months you don't like the site and want to move on, you can do that. And then we do have an option for $50 a month. That comes with some additional marketing materials. We'll give you templates you can post on social media, etc. But only $20 a month for the site.
So that what's interesting to me is that, the unique value proposition is obviously ease, but it's that $20 a month too, because that is not something that most of us would expect from a website sort of, somebody to help you and then maintain this sort of thing. That is very unique. And for a professional site like this, that's the thing that really caught my eye doing this whole thing, guys.
Awesome. We're glad to hear that. And so quickly before sharing maybe the entrepreneurial lesson learned from Brihu and myself, to show you an example of the site we just made. So France Painting, again, chose the color. Here we can make that color anything you want. We got the about us, some of the information we talked about, what services are offered, some of those photos from best work, testimonials, FAQs, and where to find you. So all this, again, was just made based on what we just filled out.
That is super impressive, guys. I really like that. That is, yeah, especially for, there's a lot of things like, payroll. You could go deep into payroll, or you could just get somebody else to help you with it like that. And this is one of those things too. Like, we have enough things to do. We're almost all trades businesses are production constrained right now. So we need to spend 80% of our time recruiting, training, and maintaining people in order to meet the demand out there. So yes, doing something like this where it's just done and professional, yes, it just checks a thing off our box. And yeah, that is a substantial thing. So
awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that demo. That is super impressive.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And then Nick, I know you mentioned or asked about lessons learned. Is that helpful for us to go into?
Yes. So normally, again, we're a big collection of people who are entrepreneurial minded here. So as we close out the show, I would love to hear something from, like, we talked prior to the show. There's learning about entrepreneurship and there's doing entrepreneurship. I would love to know the biggest lesson, the biggest takeaway, the biggest piece of advice to other entrepreneurs watching the show, regardless of industry.
Yeah, happy to. Brihu, do you want me to kick it off or do you want to go first?
No, I think I can definitely go for it here. I think one of my biggest ones is actually just being very upfront and trying to get as much feedback as possible. I think it's really cool, and I think being able to talk with so many professionals has made me a lot more informed and actually able to actually connect with kind of the end customer or the end user in a lot of cases. And I think it really goes a long way when you ask for that feedback. Not only does it build trust, but it just helps so in so many ways when you're trying to make something, when you're actually trying to help people. And I feel like that's so applicable into anything, even if you go, even if you're going into like even maybe like a paint job or something like that, being able to get feedback, I think is just probably one of my biggest learnings, and going the extra mile to really get feedback and understand how can we make this even better for you next time? How can we make this better for you in a month? What can we do to make your life easier? That's probably my biggest takeaway, and just trying to go the extra mile every single time to really understand, can we continue improving? I think that's been my biggest learning. Apart from watching multiple just YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and try to just soak up everything around. But I think that's probably my biggest learning, and try to really go the extra mile in getting that feedback.
So it's really interesting. And Nick, in just a second here, we'll get to you. The trades is going through kind of a renaissance right here, where I grew up in a trades company where, every other tradesperson was the enemy. And it was a very regressive way to go through life. You would never reach out to anybody for feedback. You would never call another painting company and say, let's collaborate. How do you job cost? Where do your leads come from? How do you train? And all that is being flipped on its head right now. So you guys are sort of inserting yourself into a very interesting time in the trades. And it's very likely that somewhere between 5 and 10 years from now, we'll look back and say that 2010 to 2020 was the time when the trades really professionalized, progressivized, and started doing things that normal businesses, everything else in every other industry already does. So that is insanely good. That is insanely good insight, Brihu. So Nick, how say you about the biggest entrepreneurial lesson learned?
Yeah. So first off, I agree a lot with what Brihu mentioned. I think one of the big things in addition to that for me was the importance of just really trying to put something live and do it. And what I mean by that is, not ideating, not thinking about it, not drawing it up in a notebook, but actually trying it and getting out there and doing it. And so we know that, what we have out there can be better over time. We know our goal is to make it better over time, but we want to get it live. We want to get people using it and giving us feedback. So I'd say to folks out there that are thinking about, starting their own business that haven't yet done it, give it a shot, see how it goes. And even if, the first job could have been a little bit better, you'll get feedback and you'll learn how to do it better. And I think that's been true for us. We know that, there'll be aspects of what we're doing that can be better, and it's scary to launch something that isn't perfect or that you think, folks might give you bad feedback on. But I think the biggest thing for us is you learn the most when someone's using your product or using your service. And so getting it live, going forward with it, even before you're comfortable is the big thing.
Oh man, you're singing my music now, because I am an impatient optimist, and that's my mantra. I love that. I deal with so many other business owners who are like, hey, I'm gonna go off on my own. I'm gonna start my own business next year. I got all these spreadsheets. I want you to look them over. I've got all these things. It's like, good, do that, but just do it now. All the things that you're asking right now will be solved in real time, because you'll be forced to solve them by actually doing it. And yeah, I go half-baked. I launch half-baked stuff all the time, knowing that 70% good enough. I'm going to gather 25% more immediately based on other people's feedback and things like that. So that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And one example actually from our past working on this is I think I spent 3-4 months doing market research and looking into things and trying to Google stuff, and then what I learned from that versus actually getting something out there live, working with Brihu, working with the rest of our team and getting it out there live has been tenfold what we learned, trying to do market research. And so that stuff is important. It is good to do homework before launching something, but I fully agree. The 70% completion answer is normally good enough.
That's right. And that's the entrepreneurial spirit, willing to take a risk, get it out there and learn and continue to improve, knowing that we should never let perfection stand in the way of really dang good.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. Again, if anybody's interested, how do we get a hold of you guys?
Yeah. So you can definitely go to our website at prophone.com/ProSite. You can also message us directly. You can reach me at nick@prophone.com. That's PRO phone.com. Again, nick@prophone from an email. And then if you do want to give us a call, I'm just going to share some contact information on the screen share here. You can give us a call at 857-356-6868. Or again, you can contact us, Nick at ProPhone or Brihu at prophone.com.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. Any last words before we call her quits for today?
I've got a couple of Brihu. Anything from your end?
No, I mean, it was a huge pleasure being here today, Nick, and it's truly an honor, and I really appreciate the time here. But I think those are all my closing thoughts. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll echo the thanks, Nick. Thanks for having us on. Thanks to everyone that's listening, that spent some of their Saturday morning listening to our story and what we're working on. As Brihu mentioned, one of our themes is feedback. So if you have thoughts about what we're doing, positive or negative, or ways to improve, definitely reach out and hope that we can help some of the folks listening here.
Agreed. And remember, you guys would not be here if you were one of those companies that bumped into the trades, tried to make some things happen, and then bumped out again. You guys, I have had the distinct pleasure of getting to know you guys over the last couple of months. You genuinely want to help other humans, and specifically humans in the trades, and you actually have something of value, a unique value proposition to offer people in the trades. So if nothing else, you guys are willing participants, you're eager to help, you want to improve this thing, and you actually want to help people. So making contact with these guys will not be a waste of time, folks. Get a hold of them. We've had great discussions. You're going to have great discussions with them too. So guys, thank you for doing this. I know it's Saturday morning. Thanks for giving up some family time. And everybody, thanks again for watching. Kindest thing you can do is share this show, follow Ask a Painter, contact these guys, bug them. I mean, I would never give my phone number out. You guys are brave. You're going to get, these painters are going to be bugging you guys now. Oh, you guys don't know what you just did, but I love it. This shows how willing you are to help us by doing that. So thanks everybody. And thank you to the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association as well. Another group of people who genuinely want to help improve the lives of contractors, not only personal lives, family lives, professional lives, with the end goal of providing clients with a better service, more trust, so that people look upon our industry differently, so that we can recruit, retain, and progress. And because we all want to do better, and we're going to do better by all of us doing better. So thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate the time. And everybody have a good weekend.
Thanks so much, Nick. Thank you, everyone.